I'm here with Hayden Blackman, who's the studio head and creative director of Hangar 13. They're the guys responsible for Mafia 3. Excited. Hayden, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about some of the things that we saw and what we can expect from Mafia 3.
So Mafia 3 is the story of Lincoln Clay. He was raised in an orphanage in our version of New Orleans. Eventually that orphanage got closed down. He fell in with various gangs, and he's always been looking for a place to belong. That's kind of the thing that drives him.
All that spilled blood, you know what it breeds? Loyalty.
When the game opens, it's 1968. Lincoln has returned from Vietnam and he gets embroiled with the black mob. They're betrayed by the Italian mob and he starts waging war against the Italians.
Mafia 2 is a fairly linear story in an open world. Tell me what you guys have done in Mafia 3 to kind of crack that open.
Right, so we really didn't want to turn our back on what we felt made Mafia 2 great, which is that sense of time and place and a very strong narrative. We use the narrative as kind of tent poles throughout the game. It pulls you through the entire experience, but these kind of story-driven missions happen at kind of key beats, and in between that, the player has the freedom to do all sorts of things: attack the mob in various different ways, actually undertake multiple missions at once, build up their family in whatever way they see fit, participate in open-world activities like races or rum running and those types of things.
I noticed in some of the combat we saw that was context-sensitive based on the weapon you had. That's
Right.
really interesting. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so we have a melee system that really is meant to be kind of a payoff. In some cases, your panic button, you come around a corner and there's a guy there, or you've run out of ammo, and it really is about the big payoff. So we've tried to create, these what we call takedowns that match up what weapon you have and the enemy that you're up against and what weapon they have, so that it feels very organic as it's happening, and they're very dramatic.
You talked a little bit about it being in the late 60s. What are some of the things that your team has done to capture that?
So the game is set in 1968, and we were very specific about that year because it is such a turbulent year in American history, maybe one of the most turbulent years on record. And we chose that because of that, because you have the backdrop of Vietnam, you have the civil rights movement in full swing, you have a bunch of other social movements that are all kind of coming together. There's obviously a lot of high-profile assassinations, and the other thing that was really important, it was the time when the American mafia, the mob, started to be exposed for the thing that, it was this criminal organization, right? It wasn't just kind of an old boys club or a social club. We're able to really focus on a hard-boiled crime story. It's not romanticized at all, and it really fits well with the time period.
The other big part of we saw was the music. What fantastic music. That really captures the essence of the late 60s, obviously, because with this amazing music.
That has been one of the most exciting parts about working on this game, is going in there and looking at the library of late 60s music in particular. You had this collision of kind of what we would call maybe oldies and then kind of the new rock, and you still, because it's New Orleans, you have jazz and you still have big band, and it's just this great fusion of all different types of music.
Fantastic. Hayden, thanks so much for the first look at Mafia 3.
Thanks.
You all know what I'm willing to do for my family. What are you gonna do for yours?